Hello, I'm Heather Martinson, and I'm super excited to be sharing with you today how to get started in the Reignite Learning System. I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm going to talk about just some basics about the system to help us get started and look forward to the courses coming up. So I was actually introduced to homeschooling back in the 80s when my mom started homeschooling my younger siblings. And all the way through, I homeschooled my kids, but I never bought curriculum. I never used public school. We instead used more of an eclectic approach and a lot of adventuring and exploring and just using real life things all along. In 2006, I started Celebration Education, where I ran learning groups at a number of locations throughout Southern California. And I just now am focusing on helping you guys get started in using real authentic learning for your own kids. So I want to tell you about some of the myths that we have come to believe through the years and sometimes make it hard to jump into the authentic learning. One of the myths is that schools need to be safe. They always talk about safety at schools and they're making better fences and this sort of thing. But the reality is when children go to school, they may feel physically safe from outside people, but they feel threatened and emotionally unsafe frequently at school. And they don't feel like they're accepted. They don't feel like anybody cares about them. They don't feel like they have friends. They feel like the teacher is going to get mad at them. There's all these things, these emotions that they experience when they are at a public school. But when you have your child at home, they are in a safe environment. They know that they are loved. They know that they're cared for, and they know that the teacher's not going to hate them. You're going to love them. And they know that through your encouragement, they know that they are a good person and they have lots of abilities. And the thing is it's very important to have the right setting for learning, because it helps them be in the right mindset and ready to learn. And we'll talk more about that in the next lesson. Another myth is that children need to be forced to learn. You got to sit down, you got to get this done, you got to all the you have tos. But the thing is children are actually naturally curious and they like to learn. Children, when given the right environment, the right tools, the right exposure, and the right inspiration, they're going to want to learn more about many different things. And we'll talk about how to ignite that curiosity some more later. And we just want to inspire them. We want to help them explore. We want them to remain curious and hungry to learn. So another myth is that it's important to test and to grade and to evaluate your children. The thing is when you're working one-on-one with kids, you know where they're at. You don't have to test, and you certainly don't need to compare them to any other children or standard, because your child is learning exactly the way they need to be learning when you're doing it the right way. And so they will naturally grow from one thing to another and learn as they go when they are ready. And you don't need to test. You don't need to give them grades. You don't need to worry about how they compare to anybody else. Testing essentially is irrelevant. And even then, it's a poor way of assessing what a child has learned. But through the Reignite Learning System, you will learn how to do projects with your kids that better shows what they know, because they need to do the research in order to put together the projects. And we'll talk about that some more later. Another myth is that children need to be on task for 6 hours a day. I get so frustrated, and when I see families that choose to homeschool and then they think that their children need to be sitting at the kitchen table for hours and hours in a day. And this is not helpful. Honestly, the approach that the schools use is because they have to, because they have the children in the classroom for so long, because they have so many children in the classroom. But when you are working one-on-one with a kid, you have so many more opportunities, and having the child sit as if they were in a classroom is futile. It's not necessary. There's so much more to life. There's so much more to learning. There's so much more things that your child is capable of doing when they're not stuck sitting down forever. So honestly, desk time should be less than 2 hours a day. If you're doing more than that, if a child chooses to do more than that, that maybe we'll talk about that some more later as well. Then we're going to talk about several different methods that we integrate into our learning style. We integrate all school subjects into the theme that we use each year. And so we're going to touch on reading, writing, math, science, social studies, arts, even PE. There are physical activities you can do along with the theme that we use for our lessons. So another thing we do is we recognize that every child has strengths. We recognize that there are multiple intelligences. A child may or may not have strengths in reading, writing, and or math, but your child has strengths. It might be in arts, it might be physical, it might be interpersonal relationships. There are many, many, many different types of intelligences that we can appreciate that our children have, that they can improve on, that they can make the most out of, and that's going to propel them into their futures. So we want to make sure that we're not limiting our school time or our education to just the basics, right? There are many, many ways that a child can show their strengths and their genius. So another thing is that I'm going to help you learn how your child can use their own curiosities to direct their learning, that their learning will grow out of the things that they want to know more about. And you will be able to know how to make the right suggestions for your child. That your child will be like, yes, let me do that. Wait, they'll be shoving you out of the way because they want to get started right now, right? And you'll let them choose from a number of different things, but so that it is their choice and they take ownership of the learning. And that's when just like the magic comes alive. We're going to talk about the importance of getting out of the house, about spending time with other kids, about being out in nature, about going on field trips, doing research in the real world. That's a big part of what we do to provide inspiration for the kids to want to know more. And we're going to talk about creativity. We want our children to be creating things, and it doesn't always have to be in some Van Gogh or Leonardo da Vinci or something artistic. It can be, there are many ways that a child can create, and by giving them projects and letting them, even sometimes they're going to want to make the project way bigger than you ever thought it was going to be. And they might spend 2 whole weeks working on a project and creating something that really shows off what they know, and that's going to be exciting for friends and family to see. These are the things that help to ignite creativity, right? So we're going to talk about how you can help your child get to that point where they're going to be wanting to create and build, and whatever it is, whatever way it is they're going to express the things that they are learning about. And of course, we're going to talk about how you can help your children master things. This is far more than just studying something, read, regurgitate, regret. This is about a child becoming engrossed in a subject and wanting to know more, and you're pulling books for them, and you're finding other resources, and you're making it like a whole theme within the theme because your child is so curious about this thing. So you're going to help them in that way. And you're not going to be nervous about your child who wants to just spend 2 whole months. I've even had a child that spent 9 months on a single topic that was very specific, and he spent so much time and he created reports, and it was just really exciting. But giving your child the opportunity to master subjects, not just touch on them, and of course their genius comes right in there as well, right? So they're going to be using their strengths in their learning and in their building and creating and in their curiosity, all through the things that they're good at, things that they're interested in, things that are very personal to them, right? And this is how education becomes personalized. It's because the child himself or herself is the one that is asking for the learning experiences and for the materials to create something. And then you can take a little bit more of a back seat once the child's ignited and they're set on a track, and it just gets so exciting, and you're going to love it. You're going to love seeing what your kids can do. So I'm just going to go over the foundational principles of learning. And number 1 is that learning is fun. Most kids who are in school for too long often think that learning is boring. They think that because school teaches in a boring way. It doesn't mean that learning is boring. It means school is boring. And there's a big difference between learning and schooling. And we need to, you could say you could take the kid out of school, but it's hard to take the school out of the kid. It can take some time once you get your child home, if they've been in school for a long time. It can take some time for them to remember how much they enjoy learning and to get those habits back. So we'll talk about that. And of course, the second principle is that your child has genius. Your child, every child has something great about them, something that they can focus on, things that they can just really explore and dive into, and to be able to build those strengths and work on those things, and that being their focus instead of their weaknesses, right? Most public schools just focus on child's weaknesses. We're gonna keep that focus over on our child's strengths, and we're gonna help them learn within the things that they enjoy doing and are good at. So, and the third principle, foundational principle of authentic learning, is that children love to learn. It coordinates back with the first, that learning is fun. When you are doing this method with your children, it gets to a point where their eyes just light up and they're so excited, and they get loud, they move faster. They're like, gimme, let me do it. Let me try. I want to do it. And it's like magic, and you're just going to be so excited and really enjoy that time with your child and seeing them make so much out of the things that you offer them. Just really briefly, the 5 steps for the Reignite Learning System. The first step is the theme and the 30 topics each year within the theme. That's how I write themes. And now you have access to all of the 30 topics throughout the year. And so you don't have to worry about writing a theme yourself. Then the second step is The second step is having adventures and making discoveries. Having adventures. And so you take your children to places or bring things that can cause them to have more questions and curiosities and want to learn more and research and dive deep into those things because their interest has been sparked. Then the next thing is that step 3 is projects. So after their interest has been sparked and they've done some research because they want to know more about the thing, then you give them the opportunity to express that interest or that whatever it is they were interested in, to express that in a form of a project. It can be a 5-minute project, something that they just hurry and write down or draw a picture of it, something that simple. Or it could be something that takes weeks to finish. A friend of mine one time, her children turned their entire bathroom into a cave with stalactites and stalagmites and bats and bugs. And that was obviously a very big project for the children. So, but sometimes it's the little things, sometimes it's the big things that inspire the children to want to, the way they want to express the things that they've been learning. So that's step 3. Step 4 is the 3 R's: reading, writing, and math. These are not because we want to make sure your child doesn't fall behind. This is because your child is a better learner when they know how to do reading, writing, and math, right? And so not only that, but when they are exploring and learning and creating, they're going to realize that they need more words. They need to know more words. They need to be able to write or express through words. They are going to need to solve and figure in order for some of the things that they create. So they're going to want these skills as well. Again, we're not going to hit them over the head with these things. It's going to be, I promise, they will want these things. It may not always be in the time that we want them to want them, but it will come and it will happen. And it's just magic. Again, like all the other subjects, it's just magic when it happens, even for the kids that struggle, even for the kids that have ADHD and the kids who have dyslexia. They can learn these important subjects and use them as it fits in their interests and abilities. I promise it'll happen and it'll be exciting. Again, even reading, writing, and math will be exciting. No more tears, joy, excitement, and wanting more. That's where we're going. And of course, step 5 in the Reignite Learning System is genius. And it's not because it's the least important of all the steps. They're all important, but it is the point of all the steps. We want the children to be learning through their strengths. We want them to find the things that they're good at. We want them to be confident in themselves. We want them to know who they are and what they are good at. That's why we don't focus on their weaknesses. They are not their weaknesses. They are their strengths. This is where their identity lies. And we want them to be comfortable with that. We want them to know that they are good people because they have these strengths. And so we're going to find as many ways as possible to increase those strengths. And I know they will change, their interests and their abilities change throughout their all growing up. Sometimes some kids, it's one note, same thing all year after year. Other kids could be a different thing every 2 weeks, but that's okay, because that's their personality and that's what's going to help them in their future, even if it changes. So again, it's their strengths, it's the things that they enjoy, it's the things that they're good at. We're going to focus on these things, and we're going to help you find more ways that you can help your child expand on their strengths and just really lean into the things that they're good at. So, and again, that's going to be so exciting for you, because you're going to see your child do things that you'd never expected that they would do, because they're learning within their strengths. They're going to be just an amazing person. You're just absolutely going to love the person that you see them turn out to be. And then of course, after step 5, we celebrate. Every child has, we do it about every 6 weeks. We take some time to step back and say, hey, look what we've done over the last 6 weeks, review those things, look at them and appreciate them, and celebrate the fact that all that they've accomplished in the previous 6 weeks. And it could be a small thing, just a special treat, or it could be a big thing like inviting friends and family over and celebrating in a bigger way. We'll talk more about that later too in the course. So you'll have an idea of how you can have those celebrations with your child regularly. But I'm so excited. So this is the dynamic, personalized, meaningful, engaging, fun learning that you've always wanted for your child. I know you know that your child learns best when they are fully engaged, when they're taking an interest, when they are following their curiosities and creating things on their own. It is so great. It's not just fun for them, it's fun for you too. Their curiosity is unleashed, genius is ignited, your relationships will become deepened, and there's just going to be so much joy in learning. Your home will be happier. So, because I see a world where every child is celebrated and free to excel. And I'm excited for the experiences that you and your child will have. And if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and put it below the video. I will respond to them. And I look forward to our upcoming sessions and learning and helping you grow with your children and making the most of everything that you've got going on. I'm looking forward to this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.